Okay, so again, thinking about things from the show. So, when you do this, think about what are some scenes or aspects maybe from the show that you're doing, or cartoon, or whatever it is. Like, try to find maybe key moments or key things that make it unique that you can possibly design a toy around. So the whole climbing the building thing with the magnets and the metal. Then I just started thinking about other things, like what if he was hollow inside and you could take the head off and maybe there's something inside of it, like it's a pencil case or candy or a bank or something. You could make little stickers, roll of stickers inside of him. Maybe on the bottom, there's a Robin one. There's a little stamp on the bottom. You can carve it out of an eraser or something. A little stamper underneath the head, maybe. Again, just ideas, right? I mean, just off the top of your head, just if you think of it, sketch it out really quickly. And again, not a lot of detail. Then that led me to maybe doing something more of a kinetic type toy with like a push car. So like Batman and Robin in little cars, and you just push them around. Maybe there's villain ones too. I don't know. And I was at this point just kind of having fun with the sketching part of it as well. Um, then I started thinking about other scenes, other things from the show. Like they always slid down the bat pole. So what if you did something like this where you had toys that you could clip on a pencil or a drinking straw, like they were sliding down the bat pole. Something with the bat signal, like maybe it's a you can look inside and there's little pictures inside, like that C3PO thing I showed you earlier, or maybe it projects something. Again, I don't know how that would work off the top of my head. I'd have to think more about it, but just as an idea, it's worth jotting down and sketching out. Other, and just sometimes I'd be thinking about certain things like a game or a launcher, and I'm just writing it down so I can come back to it later. A decoder wheel. That was kind of a neat idea, so I sketched that out. Like, what if you had a little figurine and there's a little, probably make it out of cardboard or something, like a little decoder wheel, and you could turn that center wheel and make little secret messages out of it. You have the two wheels there. And then maybe there's like, you put a pencil in the head. There's a little hole in there to put a pencil in. Maybe there's some, like a little roll of paper. So you can use this to make little decoded messages and send them to your friends or something. I don't know. I know in this day and age with iPhones and stuff, maybe kids aren't into this sort of thing, but I thought it was a neat idea. Maybe do a Robin one too with the same idea. Again, pretty easy to pull off. Doesn't take a whole lot of complicated mechanics or parts to make it, so it's a good design. Then I started thinking about what if you did like a little mini board game. Now, a board game in and of itself is not three-dimensional, so that's not a good thing. But if you have three-dimensional components to it, like add in the characters for the game pieces, maybe there's like a Joker or a Riddler, kind of a spinner or a dice tower you can drop the dice in and they tumble out the bottom. That would certainly work. Maybe like, a Batmobile to put the cards in. I don't know. I mean, yes, you'd have to design the game, but you could make it pretty simple. You could base it off of something else. It wouldn't be that hard. And make it, fairly small size so that it, fits in. So that's just another idea. Again, like, why not? It's got potential. Then I started thinking about little figurines that had a little launcher. And in this case, you would probably have to find a part that works, like a shooting mechanism. Like, you could find a toy like this that has something built in and, sculpt on top of it or cut parts off of it, or maybe you have a little firing gun from another toy that you could use somehow. All right, again, it's just an idea. It's just on paper. You know, I'm kind of visualizing, again, I'm using the proportions, the chibi proportions. So I've got a few different versions. There's like a Batman, and in the show they would have this thing called a Bazooka, you know, or maybe Robin's got a Batarang, or maybe the Joker can squirt something out of his flower. You know, I don't know. Again, just spitballing ideas. And then I was thinking there was a episode where it's really goofy, but Batman and Joker are in a surfing contest, and Batman's like wearing his costume, but he's got like Bermuda shorts on over it, and he's got like a. At one point, they're getting chased by a shark, and they have to spray shark repellent. So then I decided to take that a step further and do a different sketch of it with him. Here he is holding the shark repellent in his hand. He's got the Bermuda shorts on. He's on the surfboard. This could either be on wheels, like a rolling toy. Here I kind of had it as a bath toy, but I don't know how you know, the balance might be an issue, so maybe if it was on wheels, that would be better. And then the more I thought about it, the more I really kind of liked this idea. And honestly, I would like to go back and make all of these, because I think these are all really fun ideas. I love to have these as toys. But for some reason, the last thing I came up with was the one that I was kind of drawn to. So it took all of this sketching. It took all of this. And this took me, you know, a little while today. I just sat down and just in a couple of hours doodled all this stuff. But it took all of this sketching to get to this point. So now I'm thinking this might actually be the thing, that the winner idea, the one that I go with. I like all these other ideas, but this one I think is the most manageable and doable for now. So I went ahead. Now the next step, of course, is going to be once you've kind of finalized your idea. Like, so you go back once you've sketched, and again, I want you guys to do this much sketching. As much as I've done here, you guys should be doing at least this much. All right. And again, you don't have to do tons of detail, but really work out your ideas visually. Like, really try to see what your toys are going to look like when they're functioning. Where do parts go? Like, does the pencil go on the top of the head or the side? Or, you know, try to visualize what the toy might actually look like to a certain extent. Is the stamper on the bottom, or do you take the head off, or they're part, you know what I mean? Like, just there's all kinds of possibilities. So I want you guys to do this much sketching. If you guys are just doing like a page or two with a couple of drawings on it, I'm not going to be happy. All right, I want you guys to really go at this and sketch a lot. So you should be doing a good 5 or 6 pages, at least full pages of doodles like this. Okay? So once you have all your sketches, pick the one that you like the best, or that you know, or at least one of the ones you like the best. If you have a bunch, then just flip a coin, I don't know. And then, so this is the one I'm going with. All right, so what I've done is gotten a piece of paper. And it's one of those bigger sheets of paper. If you don't have any of these left, you can use, I guess, a few sheets of smaller ones. But what I did was I took a ruler and I drew a line all along the top and all along the bottom. And I did that so I could kind of measure how high the toy was going to be. So these are going to be my turnarounds now. So remember, a turnaround sketch is just a sketch of your toy from like a few different angles, so you can see it from, you know, the front, the side, the back, 3/4 view, whatever. And in the toy industry, they'll use turnarounds like this to sculpt from. They'll actually, the artists and sculptors will have these kind of model sheets to work from. So as they're sculpting, they can rotate their toy, and you can see, you know, It really helps if you can see what the toy looks like from the front, from the side, you know, from the other side, from the back, right? Because when you sculpt something, you need to look at it from all angles. You're not just going to look at it from one side as you sculpt it. You're going to look at it, you're going to be rotating it constantly and looking at it, because something can look very different from the front as it does from the back. And you got to know, like, where the lever is going to be. Like, you know, this could have been designed in a lot of different ways, but they decided to put the lever up here in the helmet and put the button here on the backpack, and right. So, you know, the water squirter goes on the left arm. Okay, so all of that information needs to be in your sketch. So you just sort of make decisions, make creative design decisions. Okay, I've got his little can of shark repellent, bat repellent here in his hand. He's kind of got this stance of like one leg in front of the other, like balancing on the surfboard. He's got his Bermuda shorts on. This is kind of the front view of the surfboard. So you always start with the front view because that's the easiest view, okay? And you just kind of sketch it out. And remember, think about structure drawing, think about foreshortening, like how I have, you know, draw through forms. So I've kind of got Batman's head overlapping the shoulders. Things are overlapping a little bit here, like with his hand and his forearm. A lot of foreshortening here, okay? And again, look at other toys. Like sometimes it helps, like to draw another toy. Like get a toy like this and just practice sketching it a little bit to get used to that kind of a thing. Now the idea is to take this and project some of the measurements. So what I'll do now is get a ruler or some other kind of straight edge, and I'll just start measuring off. Like I'm going to draw another line out to there. So I know kind of where the top of the head and the bottom of his head are in relation to this diagram, because you want everything, all the details to kind of line up. So like wherever the nose is, the mouth, I don't have a ruler, but I'm getting it close. The eyes, right? Like that. And you're going to do that with everything. Like the top of the can is going to be somewhere in there. His hand will be about there. And use these lines to kind of help you measure those major landmarks, like where his knee will go. So I know that his leg's going to have to come up to about there. This knee comes to there. Okay? And you just kind of keep doing that. You can see how things are lining up and starting to come together. I'll have to keep doing that, like for this hand here. It's going to be somewhere in there. And you just sort of extrapolate by using those lines. And animators do this a lot too. So if you look at a lot of, like, just Google animation model sheet, and you'll see them using this stuff a lot. Okay, and then once you kind of get the side view figured out, tighten it up, looking good, then you'll just do like the back view or another view. If you run out of room, you know, use a different sheet of paper. Just make sure everything lines up. All right. So you've got two levels of drawing here. The first one, which I just showed you in your sketchbook, is the, you know, the first kind of exploratory concept idea stage of the sketching, where you're just trying to come up with ideas and play around with style and things like that, and you're just trying to figure out what direction you're going in. Then once you have chosen your direction and you have figured it out, then your final really nice, tight, refined drawing is going to be here in the turnaround stage. Okay, so I am going to finish these turnarounds here, and I'll kind of show you what I come up with. I might post it to the website or whatever, the final version, just so you can see. But that's how you do the turnarounds. Start off with the frontal view, kind of draw your lines going across the top and the bottom. Then once you get that front one in, take the measurements and draw more lines. Like just choose certain parts of the drawing to measure. So I would definitely do like the head. So from the top of the head to the bottom of the head, you do that. Maybe where the waist is, the hands, the legs, etc. Okay, the bottom of the cape. Just make sure it all lines up pretty well. Now, obviously, it's going to depend on the type of character you have too. Now, a turnaround for someone like Dory or Nemo is going to be a lot different than Batman, because you're dealing with more of a closed-in shape, or even a character like SpongeBob here, right? That turnaround is going to be different from the proportions, like from a person, but you can kind of just see the front, the side. See how different that looks? And then the back. Okay. So all of these toys are examples of, how to do that. The front, side. You see what happens, like details like the nose and the eyes when you tilt it. It's still in the center, it's still in the same place where it was, but now the eye and the nose look a lot closer together, because they're foreshortened. So just try to keep details like that in mind. Okay, Robin, same thing. Front, side. Okay. And also take into account things like if your figure has a base on it, like you see this Hulk figure here, he's got this rock base that he's sitting on or squatting on or whatever. That's going to be part of the sketch as well. All right, sometimes that, that all becomes part of the toy design itself. Here's another example of a toy with a base, this Yoda here, right? So the turnaround for this, you're drawing the whole thing, the base too. So this is more of a side view, I guess. And then a front view where he's sort of being overlapped by this container, right? So you see, it depends on the overall design as to what your turnarounds are going to look like. All right. Do you have an animal-like character like this, or a humanoid character, right? It all kind of depends on what you wind up with. See, very different. Front and back, very different. But you have to know what this looks like, all right, when you're sculpting it. All right, you can't just say to somebody, sculpt a dragon. Like, you've got to really look at, what are these details on the back? Where does the button go on the back, right? You've got to figure that out in your design. So in the sketchbook phase, sort of plan that out so that when it comes time to do the turnarounds, you know what it is you're doing. So, and that counts. That even means like if you're doing like a vehicle design, you've got to know what that vehicle looks like from the side, from the front. Okay. So that's why sketching in your sketchbook helps, because you can kind of draw it from an angle like this, where you can kind of see everything, and that makes it easy. And then when it comes time to actually do the frontal views, it makes it a little easier. Okay. And if it's easier, like in this case, like with the car, I could see where it might be easier to start with the side view first. So you could do that and then go to the front or whatever. Okay. But I guess I'm hoping you guys get the point of what I'm trying to say. Okay. So that's the next step, is you want to tighten all this up and have nice, clean, tight, well-drawn turnarounds. And then that's going to be what you turn into me. I want to see this turnaround drawing done really well. And I want to see all the sketches that you should be doing in your sketchbook. All right. So this is all just the first stage of the process, right? So I want to see all this stuff that led you to the final. And then this is the final drawing. Okay. And then once you get the final turnarounds done, then you're only halfway there, because then you got to actually build the toy based off the turnarounds. Okay? So that's kind of what the process is. And I will do another video about the actual building of the toy. And I'm not going to do the entire thing. I'll probably do time lapse or film it in stages, but this is sort of where we're at. Okay? All right, so hopefully that all made sense. If not, you can ask questions on Zoom or whatever. But, you know, the main gist of this is you got to do lots. You got to be willing to sit down and do lots of drawing and put the work in. All right, there's really no other shortcut. I don't want to just see a couple of drawings in your sketchbook that look kind of bad. I want to see pages and pages and pages of drawings. Okay? Show me that you actually put in several hours on this part of the project, because it really is important. Okay? All right. We'll see you in the next video.